Bryan Okwara and Sonia Uche. This duo right here has quietly but powerfully taken over conversations in Nollywood fan spaces. And if you've been scrolling through YouTube comment sections, TikTok edits, or even those late-night Twitter threads, you already know the vibe. People are not just watching them, they are feeling them, analyzing every glance, every line delivery, every shared scene like it's some kind of masterclass in on-screen chemistry. And honestly, it didn't even start as a big industry push. It grew organically from viewers who just couldn't ignore what they were seeing. The kind of connection that doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel scripted. It just flows. And that's rare. The thing about Bryan Okwara is that he already had that solid reputation. Calm presence, composed acting style, that mature energy that makes him believable whether he's playing the lover boy, the conflicted hero, or the emotionally distant character trying to figure himself out. He doesn't overact. He doesn't try too hard. And that's exactly why people buy into his roles. Then you bring in Sonia Uche on the other side, and she's got this expressive, emotionally transparent acting style where you can literally see what her character is feeling even before she says anything. Her eyes do a lot of the talking, her timing is sharp, and she knows how to make moments linger. So when these two ended up sharing screen time, fans weren't expecting anything groundbreaking at first. It was just another pairing in the long list of Nollywood collaborations. But then something clicked, something that made people pause mid-movie and go, wait, what is this? Because it didn't feel like two actors performing. It felt like two people existing in the same emotional space and letting the audience watch, and that's really where the best duo conversations started gaining momentum. Not from marketing, not from hype trailers, but from genuine fan reactions. Those comments like, why do they feel so real? Or, I forgot I was watching a movie for a second. Or even the classic, these two need to be cast together again immediately. And once that kind of feedback starts repeating itself across platforms, you know it's not just a coincidencion of the biggest strengths of their pairing is balance. Bryan brings this grounded, steady energy while Sonia brings intensity and emotional depth. And instead of clashing, it complements each other. Like when one pulls back, the other leans in. When one is quiet, the other fills the silence in a way that feels natural. It's almost like watching a conversation that continues even when there are no words being spoken, and fans pick up on these details. The subtle body language, the way Bryan's characters often soften around Sonia's characters, the way Sonia's expressions shift depending on how Bryan delivers his lines. These are not things you can fake easily, and that's why people keep replaying their scenes, making edits, slowing down moments just to catch those micro-expressions. Another thing that YouTube bloggers keep highlighting is their eye contact. It sounds simple, but it's actually a big deal in acting. Eye contact can either feel empty or it can carry the entire emotional weight of a scene. And with these two, it almost always feels loaded. Like there's a history between their characters, even if the script doesn't fully spell it out. And viewers love that because it invites them to fill in the gaps, to imagine deeper layers beyond what's shown. And let's not ignore the packing of their interactions. Nothing feels rushed. Even in dramatic moments, there's this deliberate rhythm to how they respond to each other, like they're actually listening instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. And that kind of responsiveness is what creates believable relationships on screen. Then there's the emotional range. They're not stuck in one type of dynamic. Fans have seen them handle soft romantic moments, tension-filled confrontations, misunderstandings, reconciliation arcs, and in each scenario, they adapt without losing that core chemistry. It doesn't feel like the same scene repeated over and over. It feels like a relationship evolving. YouTube creators love breaking this down because it gives them content that goes beyond surface-level reviews. Instead of just saying, the movie was good, they can dive into why specific scenes worked, why certain dialogues hit harder, why viewers felt connected. And most of the time, it circles back to how Bryan and Sonia interact on screen, and the fandom aspect cannot be overstated. Once fans start shipping a duo, whether romantically or just as a strong acting pair, it creates this whole ecosystem of engagement. Edits, reaction videos, scene compilations, top 10 moments lists, and even speculative discussions about future collaborations. And Bryan Okwara and Sonia Uche have definitely entered that territory. Some fans even go as far as comparing them to other iconic Nollywood duos. trying to place them within that legacy. And while it might be early to crown them at the very top, the fact that the comparison is even happening says a lot about the impact they've made in a relatively short time and author interesting angle is how natural their dialogue delivery feels. It doesn't come across as overly polished or rehearsed. There are moments where it feels almost improvised, like they're discovering the scene as it unfolds. And that unpredictability keeps viewers engaged because it mirrors real-life conversations more closely than rigid script reading Gand if you look closely. You'll notice how they handle silence. A lot of actors struggle with silent moments because there's a temptation to fill every gap with dialogue or exaggerated expressions. But Bryan and Sonia let silence breathe. They allow pauses to carry meaning, and that's something audiences subconsciously appreciate, even if they can't always articulate it. YouTube bloggers also point out their consistency. It's one thing to have chemistry in a single standout scene, but maintaining that connection across multiple scenes or projects is what solidifies a duo's reputation. And from what fans are saying, Bryan and Sonia are showing signs of that consistency, which is why the conversation isn't dying down after just one film. And let's talk about relatability for a second. Their interactions don't feel like some unrealistic fairy tale. Even when the storyline leans into drama or romance, there's still a grounded quality to how they relate to each other. Arguments feel believable. Affection feels earned. Misunderstandings don't feel overly exaggerated. And that makes it easier for viewers to see themselves in those moments. Then there's the visual dynamic, not just in terms of appearance, but how they occupy space within a scene. They don't compete for attention, they share it. Framing, movement, positioning, all of it contributes to that sense of harmony. And while that's partly the director's job, the actors have to execute it in a way that feels effortless. Fans also love the unpredictability of their emotional beats. You might expect a scene to go one way, and then one of them delivers a line or reaction that shifts the tone completely. But instead of feeling jarring,